Let me take a selfie.
So I'm here with John Cho, one of the stars of Selfie on ABC, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. John, how are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Weird show. It's adapting off a craze, the whole Selfie thing, which didn't exist maybe 2 years ago. Now has its own term. Now has its own show.
Yeah. It's referencing something very modern, but it's based upon a very old story, Pygmalion, which is about a guy who, a woman who comes to an older man and says, "Make me respectable." And in the original version, it was, she changed her accent from Cockney to a posh English accent. But in this version, she's a social media obsessed narcissist, and she comes to my character, a marketing expert, to rebrand her.
I saw the first episode and everything I read about what's to come. It's the trend that young people are having now, even though she's a bit older. Young people are having where they can't separate their online social media life from the real world. And when they're forced to be in the real world, when you have to tell a kid, put your phone down and interact, they don't know how to. And you have to coach her on this.
Right. And it's the show is about, look at me in the eyes and be in the moment. And it's what Henry is always saying to Eliza. And it's the launching point of the story. And hopefully the series is about two people who are opposites who come together. And it's not always about social media, but it's certainly an interesting starting off point.
Does something happen with the progression of this show? I don't know how many episodes you filmed already, but with the title being Selfie and Selfie being as big as it is now, there was a screenshot from the show that was passed around the internet when all that adult stuff was happening with celebrities getting their phones hacked with their selfies and everything like that. And it came from the show, this screenshot of Karen, and it has the hashtag selfie and got out there in the wrong terms, but it got out there. Does the storyline maybe address something like this in the future that, you got to be careful what you're doing?
I'm not sure. It hasn't in the episodes that we've shot, but it's so interesting. I guess it's sort of. Do you think that people? I don't know if in the future people the sort of like nude selfies would even be a problem, because it's just sort of everyone has it, everyone's doing it,
right?
And it's sort of, is it very embarrassing when every single person that has nude selfies on the cloud? I don't know. I wonder if we're cruising towards a time when nobody would be embarrassed by it.
I mean, it has to be, because it's what's been going on with these celebrity photos being leaked and hacked from the cloud, as the server they call it. The more and more of these come out, the less shocking it is. And like you said, with everybody having these things, it's just everyone will become desensitized to it, and it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, perhaps. It has to be cruising that way when there are so many images up there anyway. We're heading towards a place where you just expect to Google anyone's name naked and have results.
Right. So I was just wondering if any of these trends that have been going on are going to be adapted into the Selfie show.
I'm sure they're floating around the show, and more with Eliza's character than with mine, but I will say that it's not really, the show isn't necessarily about that stuff. Like I say, it's just sort of setting the table for two people who are opposites, who are learning to become friends.
How excited were you when you found out you got this show?
It was cool. I was, Emily Kapnick, the creator, had a meeting with me, and we talked, and she offered me the role, and for me, I don't get to play romantic leads very often, so to play a character that was originally written English, it was just sort of felt different, and it was I was tickled pink.
Were you familiar with?
I said tickled pink, which is very odd. I've never said that.
Were you familiar with Karen before she was cast with the show? And when you found out she was going to be your partner on the air, do you know her history and her background? That she's like the most famous companion on Doctor Who, which is a huge worldwide phenomenon?
I found that out. But I've not watched Doctor Who, so I've sort of been learning about Karen is a big friggin' deal.
Yeah.
And
have you seen it when you're doing like the press tours and appearances and stuff like that, where people are outside waiting with her doll and her poster, and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's great. I hopefully I think she's if people aren't familiar with Karen, they're about to be, because I think she's about to become an enormous deal in the U.S.
How is she to work with?
Terrible. No, she's unbelievable. She's very professional, has a great attitude, and she's just really an interesting working partner. Yeah.
You're no stranger to television, but you haven't really been cast in a role other than some appearances in series. This one now is your vehicle here. Before this, you had Sleepy Hollow. Mm-hmm. And it was a great character there as Andy Brooks, and the development of Andy Brooks there. Does Andy make an appearance somewhere in this coming season? Because he was dead, he was back, he was dead, he was back.
I was in the season premiere, and hopefully I can do another, schedule permitting. But I liked that show, or do like that show, and they got a special thing going over there. I'm not really sure how they pulled off that story because it's illogical that it should be on the air, of a story of a modern update of Ichabod Crane, but it really works. And I really like working with those two actors, Tom Meissen and Nicole Buhari.
With the Selfie show on ABC Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock, have they really been forcing you to step up your social media game as far as Selfie? Like, do they make you go out and do promotional selfies at different things, or have you gone out on your own to try to do this to promote the show?
I do what I'm asked for the most part, but no one has been telling me to get a Facebook account and tweet more. I've been tweeting more recently because Karen Gillan said, "What's your problem? Step it up." I
like some of the tweets that you had, because you might have been in New York City, but you were taking off-centered photos of the advertisements for Selfie, but talking about everything else in the photo but the advertisement.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to be funny. I think that's my entree into I think I was uncomfortable with Twitter before because I felt the pressure to open up my life, and I'm actually very uncomfortable with that. And that's what most people. That's their expression on Twitter, is to say this is what I'm doing right now, and this is me with my babies. This is and I'm very protective of that. I'm comfortable trying to be funny, and if people like that, then they can check me out.
I understand keeping your privacy and everything, but are you comfortable at least talking about your dad? If not, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I had a question about your dad. I was doing some research, and I saw that you were born in South Korea, and then moved to the States at a young age. Mm-hmm. Your dad was from North Korea.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of documentaries and films about North Korea where when they actually get to leave or defect from North Korea and they're in South Korea, and they have a lot of problems and a lot of hard times dealing with this. Your dad coming from North Korea to South Korea and then to America, how did he transition all of this stuff?
Well, first I'll say it's very interesting. They do have schools for defectors in South Korea. I found this out recently through a documentary. Very interesting. They're very basic. They're like, this is what a check is. This is what money looks like. It's incredibly basic. But my dad was 9 years old when he, at the start of the Korean War, which split the two countries into two. Split one country into two countries. And so then he walked down at the start of the war with his family to South Korea. So it was a forced migration then. And then, as an adult, he was an immigrant who was looking to, for a better life for his family. So I think he's pretty good in chaos. And as children, we were less comfortable with it, with the moving around. And I was 6 years old when I came to the United States. And even though I learned the language quickly, we were, it's tough to be pulled away from your extended family and stuff.
Did you move to one of those areas that were heavy in the Korean population, or were you just starting off in the suburbs somewhere?
We were in Houston, Texas, and that was a bit of that was some culture shock there, as I recall. And it was tough to watch, like my mother struggle. My mother didn't speak English at the time. My dad did, but my mom didn't. So it was like tough to see my mom, I think, struggle with the language and feel isolated. Because my dad was the kind of guy who could go out and make friends and shake hands wherever he went, but my mom much less so.
I also saw that you were part of the re-election process for Barack Obama in 2012.
Yeah,
right?
I went out and did some voter registration. And
was that mostly your political views and on your own, or was it to help out when Cal got picked up by Obama to work under his administration as well for the re-election and arts and development? And all
I
that?
supported Obama on my own, and I think I called up Cal and said, "Who do I call to help out? Who do I email?" And I don't know that. Oh, we did some campaigning together, but we did them separately as well. And we went to some swing states, and it was some of the most interesting days of my life, going out and meeting people, because I think my view on America is one that I would generally describe as apathetic, and you see voter turnouts, but the opposite is the case. It's you go into these and I don't, no matter what political persuasion you are, it's really fascinating to see people who are passionate about what they believe in, and it was really edifying for me to see that.
Was this the first time that you went really public with and using your star power to be involved in politics, or have you done it in a smaller sense early on in your career?
I wasn't really, didn't really. I've been asked. It felt, I guess, this particular candidate motivated me to get off my butt.
Do you see this as something that you might do again in the future with the upcoming election
sure.
or elections down the line?
Absolutely. And I just felt also it was, I think I regretted not having gotten off my butt during the Gore-Bush election. And I remember being on the sidelines watching that happen and saying, no matter, I should have spoken up. I should have done something. Not that I could have swung it, but it was so, I sort of didn't understand how. It was the first time you saw, for me, it was the closest election I've ever seen, and it really changed the next decade. Looking back, I thought I should have been a part of that to a greater extent than just voting.
Well, let's lighten this up a little bit more
Yeah.
than that. We're here with John Cho. He's promoting Selfie on ABC Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. with Karen Gillan, who, look, I'm going to say, I loved her as Amy Pond. And
you're not the only one, brother.
I definitely am watching this show. Because of all the history that you have in the entertainment business, people may know you best from Howard and Kumar. You've had the roles as the MILF guy from American Pie. You've been in everything they've put out. And you've had some great projects, too, doing television with American Dad, 30 Rock. Children's Hospital is one of the ones that comes to mind. Yeah,
Rob Corddry.
It's insane. You had some other things on bigger shows, How I Met Your Mother and Ugly Betty. And do people still just recognize you from Howard and Kumar? Do they bring you like weed, or do they bring you White Castle all the time?
Yes.
Yes. Do you turn down the White Castle?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a very svelte young man here, so I know you got a figure to watch. But,
yeah. Well,
White Castle is a little hard to pass up.
They're small burgers.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else we should know?
Just eat the one. Don't eat the whole suitcase.
Then what's the point?
Listen, man.
You're getting aggressive over cheeseburgers for no reason. Is there anything else we should know about Selfie? What it is that people are going to expect in the next few episodes?
I think that Karen and I are really having fun developing the relationship between these two people, and I think people, from what from the feedback I'm getting, that's their in. It's an interesting relationship. It speaks to people, and I hope your listeners will give us a shot. I don't know. Give us a couple episodes to entertain you.
If I can, before you go, one Star Trek question.
Go.
I tried to stay away from it, but there will be another Star Trek project when JJ's done with Star Wars 7. I expect you're going to be a part of that still, right? I
think so. I went in for a very, very thorough costume measurement session. When you're wearing those suits, there's not much give. it's not like going in for a pair of jeans at the Gap.
Right.
You know, there's 2 numbers you got to know to go and to buy jeans at the Gap. There's numbers everywhere.
George Takei has always been known to fight for the Sulu character when he was playing Sulu throughout the run of the original Star Trek, to the point where he wanted Sulu to stand on his own, have his own ship, command his own fleet, and what have you. Is this something that they may explore in the new timeline with Star Trek, where Sulu may branch out on his own, showing the man that he will become?
I unfortunately do not know.
They don't tell you.
They don't tell me.
Do you have any input as far as the character, or is it just here's where you're going with it?
You know, I've not been asked.
No.
Should I? Do you think? I mean, I could, I guess, pick up the phone, but
Who doesn't want their own ship?
who doesn't want?
Right.
I'm on a boat.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want their own ship? Absolutely. I mean, that would be awesome. And if it happens, I'm going to write you a thank you note.
Please do. Or just send me the figure. I'll be happy with that.
Okay.
All right. John Cho, the show is Selfie, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. on ABC. Thank you so much, sir. Oh, at John the Cho on
That is
Twitter.
my Twitter handle.
Why the Cho? Was
The
John
Cho?
Cho taken?
I believe so. So it was actually so long ago, I can't remember. But yeah, so people were doing I considered naming myself the real Shaquille O'Neal, but went with John the Cho.
There you go. John the Cho on Twitter, Selfie, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. on ABC. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.